Welcome back. This is day 3 of your endocrine system. So today we're still talking about what is the role of the pancreas in the endocrine system. But before we get into that, you guys have got 2 do not questions. So as always, pause this video, answer those 2 questions, and press play when you're ready to review them. Number 1, what is the role of the endocrine system in our body? We need to know that the endocrine system maintains homeostasis by secreting hormones that allow certain changes to occur. We also need to know that whenever we see this word hormones, we're talking about those chemical signals or chemical messengers that are going to move throughout our bloodstream to cause these changes. All right, chemical messengers or signals. And remember that the endocrine system has control over changes such as growth, metabolism, puberty, etc. All of those things are controlled by your hormones and therefore by your endocrine system. Number 2, what is the role of insulin and glucagon in the body? Well, we need to know that insulin overall decreases the amount of sugar in the bloodstream, and glucagon does the opposite. It's actually going to increase the amount of sugar in the bloodstream. And both of those hormones work together to keep your blood sugar levels stable or balanced. And we're going to talk some more about that today. Which leads us to part A. We're going to read some more about the endocrine system, specifically the pancreas. Okay, so this is an extension of what we learned yesterday. We're reviewing those high points that we went over. Right, as always, we're going to annotate this passage as we move through it, highlighting any important words or phrases that will help us answer the questions. Let's get to it. The endocrine system regulates our body's ability to maintain homeostasis by releasing chemicals called hormones. These hormones travel all over our body to deliver messages, much like the nervous system. Some of these endocrine cells are even found in the pancreas. These cells are called islets of Langerhans, and they secrete hormones like insulin and glucagon. The hormone insulin promotes the absorption of glucose into the body cells, thereby lowering the blood glucose level. It also stimulates the conversion of glucose to glycogen in the liver and in the skeletal muscle. The hormone glucagon increases the blood glucose level by promoting the conversion of glycogen to glucose in the liver and the skeletal muscles. The glucose then passes from the organs back into the blood. Through their opposite effects, insulin and glucagon function to help the body maintain homeostasis by keeping the blood glucose level within certain limits. So now, using that information, let's answer question number 1. What do you believe works faster, the nervous system or the endocrine system? Well, hopefully you know that this is the nervous system. The nervous system is a lot faster than the endocrine system. Remember that neurons are going to send those impulses and neurotransmitters almost instantaneously throughout your body. Think of reflexes and how fast it takes you to move your hand away from a stimulus or anything that puts you in danger. Okay, the nervous system sends messages really, really fast. But the endocrine system is more slow, more gradual release. You're going to be going through puberty for a few years, okay? Those changes are gradual, and those hormones are going to deliver those messages more slowly and long term. Now, what are the 2 hormones secreted by the pancreas? We went over this with the do now. Those 2 hormones are insulin and glucagon. Make sure you know these 2 words. Insulin and glucagon are both hormones. Okay. Number 3, how does insulin regulate our blood glucose level? We need to know that insulin is released when blood glucose levels are too high. So anytime you eat ice cream and your blood sugar raises, your body's going to release insulin to lower those blood sugar levels. And that insulin allows glucose to be absorbed into the body, and it's actually going to save that extra glucose in the form of glycogen. So this word glycogen, it looks pretty similar to glucagon, but they're actually different. When we're talking about glycogen, we're talking about the stored version of glucose, where when your body has had enough, it's going to store that glucose in the form of glycogen so your body can use it later. But overall, the function of insulin is to decrease the amount of sugar in your blood. But now the opposite. How does glucagon regulate our blood glucose level? Okay, like I said, it does the opposite. Glucagon is going to be released when blood glucose levels are too low. This allows for glycogen, remember that stored version of glucose, to be broken down into glucose and for glucose to be put back into your bloodstream. So overall, glucagon is going to increase the amount of sugar in your blood. All right, I'm going to add that glycogen, we need to remember, is that stored form of sugar. Right, we store that so we can use it later. I cannot write, stored version of sugar. So when glucagon is released, that glycogen starts to be broken down back into glucose so your body can use it. And that's going to increase the amount of sugar in your blood. But now, why is this important? Why do we need to have sugar in our blood anyways? What's the importance of it? Well, if you think back to, I believe it was unit 3 or unit 4, we learned about a little thing called cellular respiration. And I hope you haven't forgotten about it yet, because the reason we need glucose in our blood is to undergo cellular respiration. We need that glucose in order to produce energy in each of our cells. Okay. Now, yesterday we learned about something called a feedback loop, but I'm going to have us take another look at it because we're going to talk about this some more tomorrow as well. Now, let's say, imagine you're having the best day of your life. You are presented with a table full of sweets. There's cake, there's ice cream, there's donuts, there's chocolate, there's everything you could ever want and more. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to turn down a free dessert. So I'm going to eat all of that sugar. And what's going to happen when I eat all of those desserts is my blood glucose levels are going to start to rise. There is a ton of sugar in my bloodstream because I've just eaten all of these foods heavy in sugar. But then your body starts to kind of panic. It's like, wait a minute, she just went crazy. She's eating all the sugar. We've got to lower that blood glucose level, or she might die. So what ends up happening is your body is going, specifically your pancreas, is going to secrete insulin. Remember, insulin is that hormone that is going to decrease the amount of sugar in your bloodstream. So as a result of that, your cells are going to start to take up glucose and basically remove it from your bloodstream. And your liver is going to convert that glucose into glycogen. Remember, the stored version of sugar that we hold on to for later. Okay, so we save this for later. And overall, both of these processes are going to remove glucose from your blood, meaning that your blood glucose will fall. It will decrease. But then I start to get a little tired. I've eaten all this sugar. I start to crash. My blood glucose levels have fallen down a little bit too low. So then what happens then? Okay, then my body or my pancreas, noticing that my blood sugar levels are too low, it's going to secrete that other hormone called glucagon. And glucagon works to increase your blood sugar levels. So in response to the glucagon, the liver is going to start breaking down those stored sugar reserves, that glycogen, and overall it's going to release glucose back into your blood. Both of these things together are going to help to increase your blood glucose levels back to normal, and your blood glucose levels will rise. Now, you might notice that this is in a circle, right? This is a never-ending cycle, a never-ending loop. It's going to keep happening over and over and over until the day that you drop dead. So this type of regulation is known as a feedback loop. It's a circle, it's continuous, it's going to constantly happen inside of your body. Now, there are actually two different types of feedback, and we'll learn more about this tomorrow, but today I'm going to give you a little hint. This is actually called this is known as what we call negative feedback. Now, when we say this word negative, that doesn't mean that it's bad. This isn't a bad cycle. It's actually good. It keeps us alive. But we call it negative feedback because, well, we'll find out tomorrow. All right, guys, I want you to use that information to answer your exit ticket questions. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.